darkness, hanging on your knees. That's why I gotta know what I am, what I need, and where I stand. 'Cause all I know is I answer to the truth. Hey, don't you get in my way. I don't care what they say. I just have to be me, individual. Tell me why I have to be anything I don't feel. All I wanna be is individual. You can make a road harder, turn a man insane, start a riot inside us, and the spirit in flames. That's why I gotta know what I am, what I need, and where I stand. 'Cause all I know is I answer to the truth. Hey, don't you get in my way. I don't care what they say. I just have to be me, individual. Tell me why I have to be anything I don't feel. All I wanna be is individual. Cause I just wanna be me. Yeah, I just wanna be me, yeah. Hey, don't you get in my way. I don't care what they say. I just have to be me, individual. Tell me why I have to be anything I don't feel. All I wanna be is individual.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
"26 of the best open-wheel drivers in sim racing come together to compete for the Grand Prix Turn Racing iRacing Series Championship and the $10,000 grand prize that comes along with it. In 10 weeks' time, we find out who walks away defeated and who walks away a champion.
Climbing over this incredible circuit is Mount Fuji, a circuit that is so incredible they put an incredible mountain right next to it. In terms of the kanji in Tale of the Bamboo Cutter, it is derived as immortal to say Fuji. Who will be immortal in Shizuoka Prefecture, Japan? Welcome to the Grand Prix Turn Racing iRacing Series. It is round 7 and it is starting to hit crunch time. Jake Sperry, Kenneth Bueno, Peter Mackay. Peter, I am so psyched for today. This is one of the most, I would say, tale of two halves sort of circuits that we'll get on the calendar.
I think it's the most complex test of both car and driver. We were talking a lot before this race about how there's kind of 3 specific sections, one needing high downforce, one needing mechanical grip, and one needing just straight line speed. Setting a car up for that is really difficult, and I can't wait to see who's got that right ahead of this race.
And Kenneth, it's been absolutely top to bottom a very difficult season to predict so far. Only 3 drivers this season have averaged a finish position inside single digits.
Well, if there's anything to be certain, Jake, over the course of this season is that nothing can be predicted, especially with Detroit last week. We thought we had an answer for the most part. All of a sudden, that answer got thrown into the garbage bin, and we had a brand new one come in the form of Manuel Cubo Torres getting that win. But you brought up a great point about we're into crunch time. We've got many different tracks coming up in the rest of the schedule, and more risks are to be taken, which might add to some of the unpredictability we'll see this season and even this afternoon from Fuji.
It is risk versus reward, and the rewards have been big for drivers who have been able to pick up victories. 5 different race winners in the first 6 rounds, and the question will be, will it be a new winner or will it be one of those who have already come before? Peter, the key is, though, it is high speed between now and the end of the season. Fuji, Red Bull Ring, Pocono, Monza, all high speed, heavy braking tracks.
That is really the common thread amongst these 4 circuits coming up, but Pocono's the really unknown quantity. That oval racing circuit is going to make it a really, really fascinating finish to the championship. And then, well, Monza, what a historic venue to go to, known for high performance single-seater racing since the very beginning.
I tell you what, it is make or break, and this championship is crucial on that make or break. We'll talk a little bit later on in the season about where the cut line is. It's top 12 to keep a focus on for that between Michele Costantini and Simone Maria Marciano. But top of the championship, 11 points to the good here, Kenneth. 4 drivers are within title leading contention coming out of tonight, but you would still say anybody within the top 9 has a great shot of making a title claim here today.
They definitely do have a shot, but there are a lot of drivers just punching their name into the conversation as of late. Jarl Tyne is one of them. He picked up a 2nd place finish at Detroit Belle Isle just last week, and it only put him 11 points close to Lemonnick for the championship lead. He's been a name as of late. Manuel Cubo Torres getting that win. He has surged up to 5th, 30 points back. So with all the new drivers sort of finding their footing over the season, it is making this championship much more complex, and all the while a lot more fun to see develop over the next couple of races.
I tell you what, this is an absolutely sensational circuit. It is one of those tracks that is revered, that is legendary, but you can also say at the same time is really unique. It's kept most of that same flow, Peter, through the first 2 sectors, but by the time you reach Dunlop Corner down at the bottom of the track, it becomes its own technical masterclass.
It is, and there's loads of different lines that you can take through that final part of the lap, where it really makes the preparation so important for the drivers, because it's a really deceptive circuit in so many ways, but particularly in that last section. So we'll see who's got it right when we get into the race in a short moment.
Yes, we will, because qualifying has already been conducted and the grid will now stack as follows. Stormforce Gaming have qualified on the soft tyre. Michael Janney's got the pole, and the championship leaders alongside him on the front row, Przemysław Lemonnick. Michele Costantini starts 3rd, with Florian Lebigra, who's got 2 race wins and 4 non-finishes this season. Daniel Sivisciabo and David Toff Powell's row 3 top with a great qualifying. Pablo Espes then for Wave Italy will be in 7th, with Matt Emery, good qualifying for him, in 8th place. Manuel Cubo Torres will go from 9th alongside Kalen Chin in 10th. First of the hard compound runners will be Carlos Feniosa. He starts 11th with Ben Fuller in 12th position. And there is Jarl Tyne. He's averaged a qualifying position of 15th so far this season. He goes from 13th with Simone Maria Marciano in 14th position alongside. Then it's Tamas Simon for Veloce Vets alongside the first of 2 BRS cars, Eduardo Leo. The second one is Marcos Nunez with Super Chavi Rose in 18th position. Behind that is Jakob Behrens and Gail Valero in 20th place, with Jacob Reed and Jeffrey Decker housing row 11. 23rd and 24th will be Charles Sears and Matteo Calistani for Max Performance Sim Racing Team. The final driver, Jan Hoffman for the Vortex Sim Racing Team, a team that has had a long history when it's come to open formula. It's the longest pitch straight in sim racing that they will now have to challenge, and the track temperature conditions are pretty much as ideal as you would like them. Not too hot, not too cold here in Japan. It is very much in the Goldilocks zone as we get ourselves ready for racing. 34 laps here today. 1 pit stop and 1 change of compound tyre is required. Who is going to put themselves up on the top of the world? We will see here at Fuji Speedway, because lights are out and we are underway. It's a good start by Michael Janney. Everybody's going to fan into single file. Not so much for Daniel Sivisciabo on the outside. Hard defense all the way into the pit lane almost there. They go through and tipped around. Michele Costantini already in trouble, Kenneth.
and he got hit by Florian Lebigre entering turn 1. Lebigre tried to make the move, and he was already under there, but he locked up the right rear, and he goes right into Costantini's machine. It sends him tumbling through the field, but everybody else will keep it clean through turns 3, 4, 5, and now 6, heading for the straight to the Dunlop chicane. A big moment there for Costantini, sets him dead last on lap number 1.
Not what he's wanted when he has struggled and has had worse and worse results all season. On the break, side by side, the Veloce Vex car and Matt Emery there was just able to hold Manu Torres. There's Jakob Behrens, who's made a pretty good start to this race. Up the hill then he goes and starts to hemorrhage some positions, but this is the technical section of the circuit. Everyone talks about staying within draft range here today, Peter. This is the key to winning, or making or breaking, so to speak, the racing we've got going on.
Yeah, the slipstream and the effect that you get from the car ahead is so strong in this car, and you've got such a long pit straight, so that gives you a lot of options if you're chasing a car, and you can see the drivers weaving around trying to break the toe as Michael Yanni is going to try and go to the lead here and try and make full use of his soft tyre, because really he needs clean air to make the most of that.
He does, side by side to the Coca-Cola car there, tyre to tyre through that section, and Lemonek takes the lead away with what was a fantastic move there through turn 3. He had to really scrap for it, and he's taking no prisoners here today. He was fiery after Detroit Belle Isle. He wants to prove it. Florian Lebigre, the number 2, wants to get to P2. Gianni on the defense, but look at that, straight around the outside he goes.
And Gianni has to be fiery at this sector of the race, because him and CV Shabo, both of the Stormforce gaming cars, they're on soft tires, so they're sort of on borrowed time, if you will, over this sort of strategy, as those tires will wear when the laps come down to play. So Gianni will lose those 2 spots, and it's pretty significant for him. Good news is he can tuck in the draft and sort of save his stuff a little more, but he has to be as aggressive as can be, and the same with Sivi Shabo. On those soft tires, they will not last long. You got to make sure that you make every little moment count in this strategy.
Oh, they absolutely do, and it is crucial because they've already lost 3 places over this lap. Florian Lebigre sets the fastest lap. There is your turn racing race analysis up on the right-hand side of your screen. Now, the key here, Peter, longest pit lane transit of the season.
Yeah, very long time to get through, get in, get your tyres and get out again, but really it's what have you got the tyre strategy right? And I'm not convinced that those who have started on the softs have made the right call, because it's so difficult to make a breakaway and make full use of those softs, and then you have to pit early to put on the harder tyre, whether that be the medium or the hard, but more likely the hard, and then you've lost the leading train. So it's going to be difficult for Yanni and Sivi Sabo to feature.
Yeah, the American Michael Gianni's got work to do. There was a bit of a check-up down there at the Dunlop hairpin just in front of this group as they went through, and we're wondering about front wings to see who's still actually got something functioning. Daniel Sivi Shabo probably had the worst of the contact there, which will put Pablo Espes now here. You can see just behind him now into the prime position, out of the Panasonic turn and onto this long front stretch. This is where it's going to be key to get that slipstream, and Espes is rising through the gears over 300. But look at the swarm. Look who's going to charge here on the right-hand side. They're 4 wide on the straight, heading to Daiichi corner, turn 1, and it's going to be Matt Emery making the move on the inside. He jumps to 5th.
Sivi Shabo there, Jake, got absolutely swarmed by the field. At least 3 or 4 cars that got by as they go through turn 3, and now for the hairpin corner in just a little bit. But it's something that have to happen with these IR1s. It's contact. Kalen Chin is around, entering the hairpin corner, and that was Manu Torres, I believe, that got into him. Both of them getting a skirmish entering the corner. Kalen Chin with a spin of his own. He's still going to continue. That's a big one there for Chin.
Through 300 right, which spans 2 corners. You have to be committed. There's more dramas down at the hairpin right now because Simone Maria Macho, no, look at him. He's got damage everywhere on his car. Everyone's scattered to 6s and 7s, and that's a big bit of trouble then in the middle of the field that everyone's had to try and work around. It's pretty much ignited here on lap 4. Marcos Nunez, I think, was in it. Feniosa was also involved.
Oh dear, disaster there then for the Altus cars. But let's take a look then and see what happened to Costantini. He's right in the middle. Oh, yeah, more turned in on Labiga there for my money. So Costantini's disastrous season just continues.
It does, and he knows how important his pace is. He knows he had title-winning pace coming into this season, but it's not quite the same. Top two are clear now by 2.6 seconds, and Florian Labiga here is sat in patience mode at this moment in time with Przemysław Lemonek, the championship leader, with the purple check next to his name here, Kenneth, which means at this point in time, he's got an extra championship point in the back pocket.
It's good news, especially when it comes down to extending your championship lead. Lemonek is going to take all that he can get at this juncture of the season. And I remember talking to him after he picked up his first win of the year at Silverstone. He said, I'm just going to take it race by race. He doesn't think about the grand overarching scheme of the championship. He's taking it step by step by step, and it's mattering at this sector as Labiga is going to stay in tow. And this is going to be monumentous here, Jake, for David Toff, Michael Janney, Matt Emery, all those guys buried in the latter half of the top 5 and even the top 10, because if these two can break away as far as they're going, as Labiga sets the fastest lap this time by, strategy is going to get hard to come by in terms of getting around these two and making sure that you can alternatively get around, maybe have a chance at the race lead and get some laps up front.
They're already 0.4 of a second quicker a lap than David Toft. So that, I think, has been very, very clear in terms of how they've gone through. Now, this is what's happened here in the middle. So this is where you get the Kalen Chin, Manuel Kubo Torres incident round the right-hander, just there. 2 into 1 doesn't go. And there was a bit of a pinch there from the Wave Italy car on the outside. Manuel Kubo has to naturally move out because of the way that the G-forces work through the corner, Peter.
Yeah, and that you can't imagine until you've driven one of these cars on the iRacing simulator how quick it's all going on. And then this was the, a big move up the inside there from one of the Altus cars. Pretty clumsy, to be honest, and triggers a big chain reaction. There's several cars getting damaged there. So, yeah, but the speeds involved, especially when you're coming through the very, very fast corners, you really are having to place the car so accurately, and it's very difficult when it's that quick. But interesting at the front, Lemonek and Labiga, the way that they're breaking away at the front, if they're clever, they can make this race their own and fight for the win later on. They don't want to start fighting right now.
Speaking of fighting, a fast lap bonus point goes to Matt Emery as he makes the pass on Michael Janney. Passes up into 4th position then at the start of lap 7 of this race. He's already got 1 race win this season. That was picked up at round 2 at Jerez. Matt Emery loves it when it's technical, and he is proving it here. The man from Nutfield in the United Kingdom is now starting to flex his muscles, Kenneth.
And he's also trying to separate himself from the likes of Ben Fuller, Eduardo Leo, and Pablo Espes in points. He's running 4th right now. He's pretty much ahead of all of the drivers that I just mentioned. Him and Fuller are tied for 8th in the standings going into this race. Leo and Espes are only 3 points ahead of them, and they are also tied. So Emery taking this fastest lap point for now. This is definitely going to be a significant part of that chase for top 10 in standings. How much of a difference can that fastest lap make? So we'll keep an eye with that Veloce Vex car as we take a look back ahead at Florian Labiga and Lemonek. Now we look further back. How about Costantini breaking into the top 10 on Xavi Ros?
Yeah, a very nice move, but is that the right place to make the move? Because now he'll be target, were it not for Daniel Civi-Chabo, the lap traffic who's there in front. So take a little bit of tow, why don't we? That's going to be the perfect defense for Michele Costantini, trying to recover through this race, back inside the top 10. He's able to defend against Xavi Ros, who overcooks it through Daiichi corner, and that will bring Marcos Nunez back into play, trying to take some pace. Here's a look then at Michele Costantini right now. It is matte black everywhere inside his Rovigo room at this point in time. He is dialed in and focused here, Peter.
And he's got a lot of work to do, does Michele Costantini. Impressive to get back up to 10th. He certainly got a little bit come his way with that pile-up a couple of laps ago, but Costantini making moves forward. Watch out though for Ben Fuller and Jarl Tyen. They both started on the hard tyre. They're up to 6th and 7th respectively, and of course that will mean then when they come into the pits they will get the faster tyre when they get onto that tyre later on in the race. So watch out for Fuller and Jarl Tyen. They're going to feature in this race.
I think they are, and I reckon they're on for at least a race for the podium. I think that could be the sort of race that they're looking at this point. Jarltijn, every time I watch him race right now, Kenneth, he's always on the radio. He's always trying to get coordination with anybody who's working with at any point in time. That Borussia car has averaged 8 places gained in races this season.
And he's already 6 spots gained in this race after starting 13th. He's up to 7th. He's pretty much the masterful driver of starting in the mid-pack and then just showing up when it matters most. And you're right, Jake. He is sort of that commander in a sense where he starts to work together with people. He brings in bands of drivers. And one of the first moments that I noticed that was at Texas Motor Speedway, where he just got a huge group of guys to get on that strategy with him, and it paid off, and it resulted in a top 3 finish for him in Fort Worth, Texas. So Tyan, a very experienced driver on iRacing, has been around for a very long time and has had a chance at multiple Pro Series, whether it's eNASCAR or whether it's the Turn Racing Grand Prix iRacing Series. Tyan is known for being somewhat of a commander in that sense. It has paid off so far. That's why he's putting his name in the championship fight as of late.
Yeah, it really is, and it's really showing. Look how much he has to fight the wheel through Panasonic Corner, the final corner out here on circuit. The one thing that makes this final section difficult is there's your top 2, as close as you like, but Florian Lebigra is going to make sure that Przemysław Lemonek uses more of the tank over the course of the straights here, Peter. The key has been, over the course of this season, keep it out of trouble. And that's been the focus from a lot of drivers there. Jarltijn, so good at keeping it out of trouble. Lemonek, with the exception of last week, has kept it out of trouble. Florian Lebigra, 2 wins. And speaking of trouble, that is Tamas Simon around at Daiichi.
Ah, what a shame for Tamas. But for fans of Veloce, their sister car, Matt Emery, doing a great job, fastest lap of the race right now in 4th. While we were riding on board there with Jarltijn, he had a massive moment coming out of turn 5 into turn 6, got up on the curbs and did well to catch it. This might be well what happened to Tamas Simon, yes, with the red helmet. Oh, he just locks up. That's a mistake you won't see very often from Tamas.
Yeah, both the rears lock up, and effectively at that point in time, Kenneth, he becomes a passenger, and there's nowhere that Kalin Chin can go. He can't turn out of it because he can't slow down quick enough. It is, of course, the biggest braking zone on the circuit. They are prone to locking.
And while we saw Florian Lebigra lock up the right rear entering the first corner, well, for Tamas Simon, the Hungarian, he just locked up all 4 tires, so you just have no rotation at all. And poor Kalin Chin just getting involved in 2 incidents that aren't necessarily all his fault, but luckily he's been able to escape with minimal damage. Looks like we have a pivotal pass behind this group at around 14th, 15th, and 16th. Michele Costantini and Manuel Cubo Torres just found their way by Pablo Espes, so they're going to gain a couple of spots. How about the Norwegian Jakob Behrens trying to make position up to the field as he looks to chin this 3-car fight?
Just to make sure that this is very interesting, Jakob Behrens is in the same town, the very same town as the driver who is currently 7th in this race and 2nd in the championship, Jarltijn, Peter.
Well, I wonder if they've been exchanging notes in the supermarket, possibly, when they're picking up their groceries, saying, "Oh, how are you feeling about tonight?" "Well, I was thinking about starting on the softs," and then rolls out on the hards, going, maybe you shouldn't listen to everything you hear in the supermarket. But nevertheless, great sim racing talent coming from Norway. Likewise from Hungary as well. We mentioned Tamas Simon there as well. A really diverse list of drivers we have here from all over the world in this championship.
Oh, we absolutely do, and that's something that I do enjoy about this series, is that you can represent yourself from anywhere, any place, any time. But Kenneth, this second half of the lap is really difficult because all of these corners, okay, as they climb up the hill back to this long front stretch, as in comes Espes and Manuel Cubo Torres to make the first pit stops then of the cycle that we have going forward. Lap 12, it's early for them to make that call. The second half of the lap is so crucial because almost every corner is off camber.
Yeah, it really is. And as soon as you make a mistake, then bam, you probably ruin the next 2 or 3 corners. That's just how much of a flow you have to build at that sector of the course, because maybe turns 3 through 6 or maybe even through 8, you can mess up a corner, get back on track. But that last sector, you mess up one, you probably mess up all. And we'll look at the replay here. We'll see exactly what happened as we looked at Torres and Espes coming down pit road. This appears to be Michele Costantini. He dives to the inside. This is a 3-car pack entering turn 1. and he's going to bring the driver right behind with him. And that was, I believe that was Manakubo Torres who made a move right to the inside. Just nice way to bring the draft in, make that move in turn 1.
That's 2 for 1 that we've got going here. And it just goes to show at this point in time how important the run is, how much Florian Lebigra is waiting at this moment in time, not wanting to make that move. Michael Janney, no surprises, down into the pits then from what was 5th position at the time. He had just been caught by Fuller and Tyan. Here's Florian Lebigra demonstrating that he is trying to get an undercut at the stop because he will have to put less fuel in the car, Peter.
And I think also he's looking after the tyre as well. It works in 2 ways. You're absolutely right. The fuel is a big factor. But I think also the tyre is as well, because if you're getting towed along on the straight, you don't actually have to drive it in that hard in the corners. From my understanding, you don't get too much spike in the tyre temperature and pressure with the turbulent air coming out the car in front, so you can sit quite close in the slipstream, be towed along on the straight, gain lap time there, and then you can actually take it a bit easier in the corner. So expect Lebigra to have a bit more tyre left, as well as more advantageous fuel number as well.
Yeah, so that could definitely be a huge factor. 0.3 of a second on this run, and we'll have a look then as they start to charge forward on this straight. Question's going to be, does he want the track position, yes or no? He gets right up underneath the gearbox here, Kenneth, and he decides, no, I don't want to go for it. I don't want to have a chance. I don't want to have an attempt. Behind that, though, it's side by side, and it's going to be Matt Emery, I think, who's just on the tower, jumped up into 3rd position. So Emery is having a fantastic race.
You're seeing 2 sides of the table between the first pack and the second. These first 2 in Lemonec and Lebigra, they seem to be saving. They're not pushing their cars all that much. Lebigra especially, he just stays behind Lemonec and just tells him what's up. Be like, hey, I'm just going to stay as calm and as cautious as can be. I want to outlast these tires a little longer. But for David Taub, he's definitely wasted them a bit because Matt Emery caught him lap after lap after lap. And as Taub got more sideways through each corner, it just opened that opportunity for Emery. So on these medium tires, you're seeing 2 different sides of the sword, where Lemonec and Lebigra are saving, Emery and Taub are pushing. The question is how long it'll last, and especially where they cycle out with this very long pit straight.
I'll tell you what makes this so interesting right now here, Peter. It is battle packs of 2, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6.
It's curious, isn't it? And they've all got different ways that they've made their way to the front as well. Maybe the only exception to that would be Lemonec and Lebigra, because they were there anyway. But as Toff makes his move just in the draft there on Emery, I wonder, we're expecting it to be a mixture of medium and then hard, or hard and then medium. I wonder, though, with the way that the race has played out, you look at how Lebigra's looking after his tyres in 2nd place. Is there a possibility that you could make the medium last to the end of the tank and then put the soft on, or is the soft going to chew up too much in 9 laps? I don't know. Could be.
I think that soft really is chewing up. We saw it struggling after 3 laps, let alone here 9 that's there. Kalen Chin has just dived into the pits then in the Wave Racing Italy car. So that's one more driver who's decided to make that call and dive into the pits. Michael Janney, currently the leader of drivers who have dived in and made their stop, and he's now ahead of Kalen Chin. No surprises there. So there's that to go for. But Florian Lebigra, he has been arguably one of the most fascinating drivers this season, Kenneth. He has been win or retirement. There has been no in-between, as there's a change of position then, as we just saw, coming over the Dunlop hairpin and up the rise again. Xavi Roche just behind him. Sees Gail Valero starting to move. He makes the pass on Jacob Reed then for position, and they're starting to move.
And Gail Valero is up 10 spots since the drop of the green. He started in 20th and has now found his way into the top 10. Fantastic 4-car battle that we're watching before we expect the majority of the field to come down pit road. But to your point on Lebigra, you're definitely right. We're making those jokes about, hey, he's either checkers or wreckers. He's had either phenomenal races where he's won, or he's had races where the luck hasn't gone his way and he gets taken out early. He did dodge a bullet somewhat with the turn 1, lap 1 contact with Michele Costantini, and almost could have gotten maybe wheel or suspension or even wing damage in that case, but he was able to survive. So this might be one of those races where Lebigra's like, okay, I'm done having poor finishes. I do not want to continue this somewhat losing streak. I want to be back on top. I want to take control.
They're starting to swap here, 5th and 6th. Jarl Tyen takes a stint on the front away from Ben Fuller, and that's important that these two work together. Yes, they're not part of the same team, so to speak, but their strategy is mutually beneficial right now if they start giving each other the toe on the straight and start exchanging those positions, effectively giving each other a higher top speed as they go along these straights here, Peter.
It's fascinating, isn't it? And you know that the race is going to come to Jarl Tyen and Ben Fuller. It's just a question of how much. It's going very well right now. I think they'll be really pleased with where they are on their hard tyres at this moment in the race. And yeah, very coordinated running. Fuller getting a draft and going by, Tyen getting a draft and going by. So there's no fuel saving going on here per se. This is really coordinated running. So they will, I think they really will be in that podium conversation, and maybe even better than that.
I tell you what, this is one of the fastest pit entries of the season, as demonstrated by Jakob Behrens in the IGL Coatings car, diving into the pits, Kenneth. Whoever masterminds that the best is going to have a great shot of victory today.
It's sort of the precision of hopping on the brakes, and you do have to go through some swerving before you actually get to the pit road commitment cones. But yeah, it is basically a straight shot in where you're full throttle, you're trying to maximize the speed, and then all the concern is about locking up the brakes, making sure that you at least keep all the tires collected and not overshoot it, because if you get a pit road speeding penalty, that might be your race over, especially now as the strategy is building up and distance is really taking over. And how about Przemysław Lemonek, race leader, who has wasted more fuel than Lebigra, who spent a lot of time saving? Lemonek is in for the first time this evening.
In at half distance exactly, end of lap 17. He's going to go 50-50 on his strategy. 50% medium, 50% hard, and he's got to trundle all the way down to the penultimate box as Florian Lebigra is left isolated on his own. In also comes Ben Fuller. That's huge. He's going to go on the medium for exactly the same amount of time at this moment, Peter, as Lemonek will do on the hard tyre.
It's a switcheroo, isn't it? And well, we know that the medium can get there because there's other drivers going further into the race with it. So yeah, that will give confidence to Ben Fuller and the Apex Racing team. But the big question is Lebigra. How many push laps is he going to have now on his tyres? Is he going to go further into the race? Fuel-wise, we believe he can go another 7 laps should he wish. Whether he'll go all that way, we don't know. Let's see. But now, yeah, he's using way more of the road, running out to the curbs, and the drivers get a certain amount of track limits, abuses that they can have, and yeah, you can even see the car moving around quite a bit more. Now, is he coming into the pits? Yes, he is.
Yeah, he's got to cover the move off, and he will now decide to make that call. Dive into the pits, locks it up on the brakes, down to 60 kilometers an hour. Emery in, David Toth stays out, so Toth for Arnage competition will take some laps led here at the front of this field. It looks like in the background that might be Michele Costantini deciding to make that call to try and dive into the pits, as now they start charging through the early phases then of the laps that they have. More drivers then starts to make that call. Marcos Nunez now is into the pits.
Yeah, basically everyone at this stage of the race is starting to come in. They realize as Lemonek came down pit road, that's everyone's calling signal. Hey, we're all going to come in now. We're past halfway. We figure we can make it to the end regardless of whether it's the hard or medium compound tires. And Florian Lebigra, we're hearing from race control, has been dealt a pit road speeding penalty. And Jake, that's exactly what I was talking about with entering pit road.
I think it's an unsafe pit entry here. Go back and watch his entry. It might be an unsafe pit entry. He was there before the cone at 60. I think he's been done for an unsafe pit entry here, Peter.
I think you could be right, because he really did treat it like a proper racing corner and racing line, etc. But whatever the penalties for, whether it be the entry to the pit lane or the speed at which, race over for Lebigra. It's just the story of his season, isn't it? It's just either brilliance or nothing. Yeah, what a shame. What a shame.
Top two,
polish off those sharp
David
edges.
Toth, Jarl Tyen. This should cycle the field back around again, and an important phase of this race. There is David Toth, the number 41, and into the lead will go the number 33 of Gael Valero, the other driver in this field from Bordeaux. The other one, of course, being Florian Lebigra, and it looks like Florian Lebigra is there at the moment. Valero, the only one then to stay out. 7 seconds then is the stop at this moment in time. Trouble! bang, Apex car in the wall.
Fuller.
And that's Ben Fuller who's in it. So that was a replay of Ben Fuller just absolutely diving towards the barriers. And this is going to be catastrophic for Ben Fuller, who came away with a 9th place finish. The Detroit Belle Isle had to pit from the lead late. And this is going to definitely make it his worst finish of the season. His worst was 20th at Zandvoort, and this accident takes him completely out. Ben Fuller, DNF'd with 15 to go.
Caught out on the exit of the Coca-Cola curb. He took too much on the outside, and you dice on that line. Every time you go through, you have to be so alert through that section as just demonstrated there by Ben Fuller. He will be kicking himself, Peter. Absolutely kicking himself.
He'll be furious, but I think it's another demonstration of just how difficult these cars are to drive on the limit. These drivers, they're just so quick, these machines, and they're so difficult to master. As one of our last pit callers come in, car number 31, Jacob Reed. But I think that crash from Fuller will be music to the ears of Jarl Tyen, because Tyen was really on an equal strategy and in equal footing with Ben Fuller. Now that Fuller's not in the picture, if Tyen's got the strategy right, he's the only guy on it. At the front, anyway.
And he's 12 seconds back of Przemysław Lemonek here, and effectively at this point, 4th. In comes Jan Hoffman then for Vortex to go in and make his one and only stop of the race. But there is the Wave Italy car looking to try and make that move and that pass. It's Pablo Espes versus Manuel Cubo Torres. This for 11th position. No dice at the moment, but is this going to be a case here of them waiting to try and make those places? And how many places can they gain up through the field when drivers are starting to struggle, when this track has so many high-load corners?
And you ask that question, how many positions you can gain, not only because of the way this track is built, but also because of the distance. It is so large between the field now. As you look down the order, it appears that Tamas Shimon, the Veloce Vex car, has called for pit road, so he's going to come in. Valero, the race leader, is going to stay out an extra lap. There's Simone coming in, car number 9, so that will hand Lemonek's 2nd place. But it's really all about the space and how much you can use and how much that you gain and lose here at Fuji, because this track is so big. There's a lot of places where you can either maximize or decrease gaps between cars. So as the pit strategy unfolds, it's going to get all the more difficult to try and gain position with the amount of space between every car.
I tell you what, 5 seconds, the gap between Lemonek and Toth is huge. Here's a look, though, into turn 1. That there is Michele Costantini jumping up into 6th position now. The pass on Michael Janney scored complete, and he is on an absolute rampage here, Peter. He has not stopped since his spin. He was last after the opening corner. He's now 6th.
It's remarkable, and it's a little bit of a story of what could have been with the pace that he's showing. He's showing race-winning pace. Just such a pity that it went wrong at the opening corner. And really for the Apex Racing team, they're not having the season that they expected, and I think many observers expected. So Costantini, he's got to try and drag something and dig deep here.
Finally, in comes Gail Valero to make his stop. The field will cycle, and Przemysław Lemonek will inherit the race lead with a near 5-second margin here at the front of the field over the Arnage competition car and one of his main title rivals here today, David Toth, who, as things stands, will jump back up into 2nd place in the championship. It is very simple right now what David Toth needs, and the answer is as simple as it gets. He needs help from Matt Emery behind here, Kenneth.
He does, but we really don't know whether Matt Emery is going to give him all that much assistance here in the final 11 laps, because they're going to be fighting for points of their own. Matt Emery is looking to make a statement because he, of course, wants to break that tie with Ben Fuller, and as aforementioned, Pablo Espes, Eduardo Leo, cars that he's in front of right now. He wants to get in front of them in the standings coming out of here as we get to Red Bull Ring next week. So there's a lot on the line here for Emery, a lot on the line here for Toth. Whether their morals align, I'm not entirely sure, as here's another Veloce Vex car just trying to hold off a 3-car pack. Kalen Shin and Jakob Behrens, Jake, they've been providing some pretty good racing, all 3 of them.
And get this here, Peter. This is for the final points paying positions here. 3, 2, and 1 championship point respectively.
But we've seen it throughout the season that nobody's really got one big consistent run together. So any points finishes you can get keeps you in the game. And we talked about Prix race, you know, the top 12 drivers keep their license for the next season. If you're underneath that, you have to go through pre-qualifying again, and the drivers do not want to face that jeopardy.
They absolutely don't. There are your live points on the right-hand side of your screen. It is currently 16 points to the good right now for Przemysław Lemonek. Not yet one race distance clear, but he is, again, increasing his margin in the double one machine. The 11 over Davidov, the 41 in second. Some big gainers then making progress. Matt Emery would move up to 5th in the championship if he can stay in 3rd place as it stands right now, Kenneth.
And look at Brent Fuller in the 55. He is nowhere to be seen, basically, with that incident that he just suffered there going into Coca-Cola corner. That's exactly what I was talking about with Matt Emery's point situation, where he finishes, and if he can get one better over Davidov, that easily surges him into the championship conversation. It's going to mean a lot for the 34 coming out of this race.
It is still within range, and we talk about 40 points. Okay, you're over a race win behind, but we know how unpredictable Oval Star Racing can be, especially at the tricky triangle at Pocono here, Peter. That's the key. You're within 40 points with 2 rounds to go. You've still got a shot.
I think this season has proven that absolutely anything can happen. You think how many different winners we've had throughout the season. It's incredible. Not what I have to say, not what I expected it to be so open and so full of attrition. But you're right, Pocono, you could feel like you're in the hunt for the race, and all of a sudden you finish 10th because you got caught out the wrong way on the last lap. It's going to be a real casino when we go there.
Here is the battle for the final spot inside the top 10. It's Pablo Espes versus Manuel Cubo Torres, your winner last time out at Detroit Belle Isle. You have to say it has been a case of fortunes changing out there, but it's also a battle on tyres. They're on different compounds at this point in time. Pablo Espes then in the 5. Sorry, they're both on the same compound. They're both on the hard compound tyres. So they're both really trying to battle here in the final stages of this race. Those around them are all on the mediums, so that is the big difference maker they've got at the moment. They're going to fall maybe into the clutches of Jacob Reed, who's having possibly, at this point, Kenneth, his best race of the season so far.
Yeah, he is. He's had a pair of 14th place finishes through Silverstone and at Detroit Belle Isle last week. So to have a P12 outing out of all of this and maybe have an opportunity to just get a top 10 in the waning laps is certainly huge for Jacob Reed's privateer machine. He's one of the only independent drivers in this series other than Florian Lebigre, so he really doesn't have a lot of friends out there, and he's performing absolutely fantastic. And we'll take a look further up. This is Gael Valero in the number 33 machine trying to hold off Xavi Rosa, and of course Torres is about 5 or so seconds back. But watch these drivers, Valero and Ross were sort of midway through the standings, Jake. I mean, to enter the top 10 late in this race as Thomas Chimon gets the fastest lap, I mean, these guys will have a huge gain over guys like Sivi Szabo, Marcinot, and even Florian Lebigre, Ben Fuller, those guys who have struggled this race.
It's very important, those 1 extra championship points, because Thomas Simon could definitely do with that as they lap one of the Altus Engineering cars that is back out there and trying to salvage anything that is possible here in this race. I think that's Simone Maria Marcinot, who is back out there after damage repaired. But you've got Torres, Espes, Reed, and Simon, of course, who's got the fastest lap check, taking it away from his teammate of all people at this moment in time. This, with 9 laps to go, is very much a case of do not make a mistake, but find the right time to make the overtake. And don't just make the overtake, find the right time, Peter.
It's very tactical, isn't it? And looking at the podium fight, Yartine, who's on a different strategy to those around him, now on the medium tyre, having started on the hard. He's not taking time out of Emery quick enough. He's only really closing in at 2 or 3 tenths a lap. He's 4 seconds behind at the moment, so with 8 laps to go, that's nowhere near a big enough rate of attack. So Tyen at the moment looks set for 4th, but let's see.
I'll tell you what, they have just exchanged 2nd and 3rd as there goes Thomas Simon. Dives straight down the inside of Jacob Reed. No chance about that to stop that. Simon moves up now into 12th position. He'll eye up Pablo Espes. Little search back from Jacob Reed into the very tight Coca-Cola curve. It's a closed corner in terms of style. You've got open and closed styles of corners. That's not a corner you want to go too wide at. It's a one-line suits all closed corner, turn 3 at Coca-Cola.
Yeah, turn 3 is super fast, and we'll look at the 2 races here for 10th, like we're watching with Torres, Espes, Simon, and Jacob Reed, and then, of course, that race for 2nd, where Matt Emery has been able to get to David Toth, and look at the contact there they're making right in front of Jacob Reed. Simon and Espes are not playing nicely here in the waning laps, and here comes Reed with a chance at breaking 11th. He gets by Simon for a moment. They're side by side at the most technical part of Fuji. Probably not the best place to do it. They're doing it anyway.
Yeah, they are. They are going to scrap, and that's the difference. 1 straight. Split 2nd from 10th. Now, lap traffic is not playing ball here for Matt Emery at this point. He would have really wanted to clear Matteo Costantini here in seconds. It's side by side on the bottom of your screen, almost 3 wide. Jacob Reed with the power move. Finally, it's cleared on the traffic on top. That nearly cost them half a second, but there's a look at the inside. Reed searching with Tanash Simon. Look at the drive that's needed off the exit of this corner here towards this next one. Coca-Cola is on the wrong side of the road to get this done, but he's going to try anyway, and he's not got it.
Wow, Tomas is up for this one in that Veloce car, and his teammate Emery making moves forward. He's got past Toth now, and that is exactly what Jarl Tyan wants to hear, because that takes points away from Toth in that championship charge. I still think that Tyan's really going to struggle to be able to close in Toth quick enough to get any more points. He'll need them to come to him.
Still 3.3 seconds, and that's crucial, though, in terms of that gap. He was able to close a little bit, but not all of it, in terms of how they go through. There are your championship points. With Toth now in 3rd, it's now 19 points to the good now. Przemysław Lemonek has. He is hoping that Matt Emery continues to put a wedge between himself and the Hungarian at this moment in time. This will be crucial in terms of picking up all those important points to give himself buffer in the championship should something go wrong inside the final 3, and I would say a little bit round of this championship at this moment. Berend has himself a little bit of a look in 14th position. Nothing really to do. There is Matt Emery in 2nd position, still 3.4, 3.3. Now, I wonder how much Lemonek is having to be mindful of the fuel here, Kenneth, knowing that he was out for the entirety of that first stint, and maybe was trying to underfuel the car to jump La Bigra.
Yeah, he was wasting a lot of fuel out front, and Matt Emery is starting to put on the pressure because he's under 3 seconds, and Lemonek has been putting in slower laps, and I was looking at the last couple of times by, Lemonek was almost at one point more than half a second slower than Emery. The last time by, it was roughly a 10th between the two, but Lemonek is having to save. He is not pushing 150%, but now Emery has something else to worry about. That's David Toth, and as these two continue to fight, that is almost letting Lemonek sort of pull away in this instance. These guys are being as aggressive as can be, and Lemonek's just like, hey, do your dirty business. I'm going to be out front. I'm going to lead this race till the very end.
Well, they're trying to tandem. They're trying to get closer as Gael Valero making the pass on Marcos Nunez for 7th position, takes the fastest lap bonus point away, and he gets that pass done through turn 1. Just in front of them, that might actually be Michael Janney even in 6th position. So that's what they've got in front of them. 6th place definitely on the offing here. And Marcos Nunez was nowhere in the early phases of this race, and he might still keep himself in touch with championship hopes. He's gone through. Remember, he's been as high here, Peter, as 2nd in this championship.
Yeah, and he's still only 20 points behind the overall leader at the moment, Przemysław Lemonek, so he's never out of it. We've seen how quickly it can go wrong for so many of our top drivers throughout the season, so yeah, do not write anyone off until it's mathematically impossible.
That is very much the key, and these drivers are all searching for points, and there is also an incentive for every driver to go out there for the race victory every single time over the course of the season, Kenneth, because there's the $300 bounty for winning a race each time you go out there in this championship.
You know, it's funny, Jake, because oftentimes we sort of not pay attention to the money that you can gain. As here comes Marcos Nunez with an opportunity of getting around Michael Janney entering turn 1. Great battle for P7. I mean, when you have that extra incentive, you're just like $100 bills, y'all. Like, as soon as you're able to get to the front, I mean, you've got just a little more incentive to whatever, use it on whatever you may. Maybe development on the team, could be anything. So, I mean, these drivers are going to give it all that they've got. And Marcos Nunez, how about that pass on Michael Janney for 7th? Beautiful run by Nunez after starting 17th of this race, and after having consistent finishes all season long for the most part. Nunez only furthering up that consistency. That's going to help.
Number 7 in position number 7 with that pass. They have allowed one Mr. Gale Valero to jump out to 1.5 seconds, but that's not too much of a concern. Remember, Gale Valero's got the freshest tyres of anybody in the field at this point. They will head over the line. They will have themselves 3 laps to go in this race. It's just ticked over 2.6 seconds, the gap as it stands, as they rush through the opening section. They're running a couple tenths of a second quicker on each and every lap. I think at some point this alliance is going to have to break between Toth and Emery. They're going to have to start prioritizing who's going to fight for best of the rest. They're not catching quick enough, Peter.
Oh, I'm loving this chase. I just think that it's going to be too much, too little, too late almost for Toth and Emery. I love the charge, but 3 laps to go. I think Lemonnick has driven a beautifully measured race. He had Lebiga on his gearbox all the way through the first stint, and he didn't panic. And I'm sure he would have been really frustrated after what happened in Detroit last week, where he had a good result and just got involved in an incident he maybe shouldn't have. And now he's just driven the perfect race. Really a champion's drive he's got. This really under control. Very impressed.
I'll tell you what's also heads up. Eduardo Leo down in 22nd position. He's 9 laps down, but he's just stolen the fastest lap bonus point, Kenneth.
Yeah, that's trying to keep your championship hopes alive. Why don't you? I mean, at this stage of the race, Leo, I mean, he's just doing what he can. And that's why the fastest lap is so important. You can be completely out of this race position-wise and maybe even for points-wise, but if you can get that 1 point, it could keep you alive. We're talking about the finest of margins here in this championship, so Leo's going to do all that he can, even though he's 9 laps down in 22nd. Leo is still putting that fight, and that's definitely impressive that the resiliency is there for Leo, regardless of the situation that he found himself in. But I'm going to agree with Peter here. As long as these two continue to tussle the way they have been for points, Lemonnick is only going to cruise to victory, and the time is running out as car number 11 heads for one of the most technical parts here. Fuji, look at David Toth, way sideways out of the corner. I believe that was at the hairpin, turn 6.
Well, it was just coming out there of the hairpin, and there was reason to push there, Peter, because they caught 8 tenths on that last lap.
They're going for it. I love it. Going caution to the wind for David Toth and Matt Emery, but particularly David Toth. He got that all lit up over the curbs. Remember, these Dallara IO1s have 900 horsepower, and they are light, and that power comes in instantly. There's no turbos. It's all there all the time. And it's just, these drivers are in mastery control of them. But, oh, that was right on the edge there for Toth.
I tell you what, Przemysław Lemonnick is going to need a very important calm lap. There's Matt Emery on your right, David Toth on your left. Here comes Emery to make the move. He'll look to the outside, trying to get it done at Daiichi corner, turn 1. Can't find the angle. There is a bit of traffic there as the car is off the road. That's Charlie Sears letting them all go. Through the Coca-Cola curve now, they'll start to charge, and now through the 300R. Here, this long double apex 2-corner system, and towards the hairpin, it looks like it's off the table here for the race victory, but using all the road now is David Toth. He's desperate to defend. This is the other great place to make a move here at the hairpin, and Emery sends it around the outside. He's got the inside for the next lap, but he's on the wrong side of the road. Now for the next section of corner, wheel to wheel, Arnage versus Veloce, and now here they head to the next section, turn 15, and it's just about Matt Emery. He's got to hold it through Panasonic if he wants second place, but he is so defensive. It's all about drive and this run on this final straight for Przemysław Lemonnick. Powers to win here at Fuji Speedway. He's 1 step closer to the crown. Drag racing for second, and David Toth is going to snatch it by 18 thousandths of a second.
What a close finish for second. And Toth and Emery, I'm sure that they definitely are going to be thinking about that race for the finish for a while. I mean, both of them going 100% and giving it all that they got. A clean, hard race to the checkered flag. But for Przemysław Lemonnick, it's a cruise to his 2nd victory of the season. Jake, that matches Florian Lebigra, and Lemonnick only continues to extend his championship gap heading to Red Bull Ring.
I tell you what, he is slowly proving to everyone that he has title material. A look at at this drag race. David Toth on the outside line. Patience. That's the key there, Peter. Patience. Wait. Knows that he can follow in that slipstream. He looks left, he looks right, he looks left. And finally, when he commits, he's got the run.
Yeah, and Toth lined that up beautifully, where he just got the power down that little bit earlier coming out of the final corner, and that set the run up nicely. Really nice piece of racecraft there from David Toth. Didn't panic under pressure.
43 minutes, 47 seconds, and Przemysław Lemonek is one step closer to being immortal. His second race win of the season, and he does so by 3.1 over David Toth, who just was able to stop Matt Emery in the Veloce Vex machine. Jarl Tyen, what a run from him. From 13th on the grid to 4th. He has very much kept his title alive with his hard compound tyre strategy. Michele Costantini, a case of what might have been for him. He ends up 5th with Gail Valero 6th and Marcos Nunez there in 7th. I would say gamble still paid off for Michael Janney in 8th position. Despite the pole position he had, his soft tyre gamble still means he gets a top 10 finish with Super Chavi Rose and Tamas Simon finding that final place in the top 10. Jacob Reed, Manuel Kubo Torres and Jakob Behrens are 11th through 13th, with Pablo Espes 14th, and Florian Lebigra gets his first points finish since round 3 of the championship back at Texas, where he won. 15th place, he'll get 1 championship point for that. Kalen Chin will be on the wrong side of that, with Jeffrey Decker and Jan Hoffman finishes on the lead lap but without points. Matteo Calistani and Daniel Sivichabo ended up 1 lap down. Other dramas befell, likes of Charles Sears 2 laps down. Eduardo Leo, a big hammer blow for Ben Fuller, who was looking brilliant on his strategy, with Simone Maria Machino and Carlos Feniosa making it an early bath for the Altus Engineering team. They've got a lot more tinkering to do as they head to Austria 1 week from today. But we've got our drivers here looking to get themselves ready for conversation. Your race winner is stood by with Kenneth Bueno. That is Przemysław Lemonek.
Hello.
Well, welcome, Przemysław, to victory lane once again. You end up dominating that last segment of the race here at Fuji. Just give us your perspective as you continue to elevate the gap between yourself and the rest of the championship competition.
Yes, at the beginning of the race, I thought everybody's going hard, so I was driving all practice, all 15 minutes we had on hard tires. But Michael, our engineer, said that the best decision is to go medium. And I tell myself, don't think, let Michael think for you. So Michael tell me go medium, I go medium, and it worked out. I had good quali lap, almost pole position against soft runners. Unfortunately, same as Silverstone, I got the P2 just behind the soft. But yeah, from the beginning, pace was very good. We managed to break away with Florian. It's a shame because, I wanted to have 1-2 with Florian, but he got an unlucky penalty. I think I don't know what really happened there, but very bad luck for him. I wanted to go 1-2 with him because he was my RSG teammate. We are good friends. But again, the pace was very good. The second stint, I decided not to push because I already pulled 5-second gap on first stint or even 6 seconds. So I could pull 12 seconds, but I thought it will look bad on broadcast to have so much gap for P2, so I decided to lift off a bit. But anyway, again, very good work for all the guys we work with, and it's unlucky for Florian. He's got a really tough championship for him, but I hope we can keep this up for the next races. David P2, P3, we are doing a great job. Pace is always there. The setup is always good, and hopefully good results in following weeks.
Well, if one thing is certain is that you have emerged as the championship favorite in 2023. We're now crunching down to the last 3 races of the season. So for you mentally, how do you approach those final 3 to hold on to the championship lead and call yourself a title holder this year?
Yeah, my approach is simple. There is qualifications for Polish competitions, so I take part in them on Wednesday. So that keep my head cool. I can think about other race and just prepare myself for the IR01 and then approach it with no stress, because I already exceeded my expectations for this season. I was hoping to just retain the license, finish the top 12. But I find myself leading the championship, and I think nothing changes because the preparation is always the same. It's always the same things we need to do, and it's just working out for me this year. And that's it.
A man on a mission this year, no doubt about it. I think one thing before we let you go, Przemysław, I'm probably going to take a screenshot of your camera on that finish, just the straight up thumbs up. You're like, hey, the good race, that's it, we're on to the next one. But Przemysław, on behalf of the entire broadcast team, congratulations on your second win of the season here at Fuji. We'll see you at Red Bull Ring next week.
See you guys. Have a good week. Hopefully we see each other next week as well.
All thumbs up for Przemysław Lemonek, who comes away with the win here from Fuji Speedway. We'll have a chance to talk to second place David Toth. And David, let's talk about that battle with Matt Emery. First off and foremost, you and him going at it in the last sector. What was that like?
Hello, yeah, thanks. Yeah, it was chaotic. I really enjoyed the whole race. I was a bit confused in the beginning with Michael letting us go in the chicane. I don't know why he did that. And yeah. With Matt, it was insane. I was limited on the off tracks. I had 13x, so I was very careful not to hit him. And yeah, I could win in a drag race again, like in Zandvoort. So it's very good.
And for you, you come off of 12th place finish at Detroit Belle Isle. I know that was a hard race for basically everyone, but certainly this is a step back in the right direction for the championship. You came into this race third in standings behind Lemonek and behind Tyen. So how big of a race is this for you as you hunt for your championship this year?
Well, I try to give my best. If it's enough to win, I would be very happy. My goal is still to have decent points finishes, and let's see in the end where I will stand. But I'm looking good.
It's definitely looking good so far this season. The Arnage competition number 41 is looking awfully fast this season. David, Red Bull Ring next up on the docket. Any thoughts about that track before we get it next week?
It's not gonna be easy. Drafts and staying in anyone's draft, it's going to be the key for the whole race. I don't know. I need to prepare for that for sure.
Well, it's a good finish regardless here from Fuji. Second place, you keep yourself in that championship hunt. Congratulations on the top two finish here in Japan. We'll see you at Austria Red Bull Ring next week. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
So David Toth is second place here from Fuji. We'll talk to Matt Emery for Veloce Vext here, who comes home on the podium. And Matt, man, what a finish with David Toth, you and him going at it at the last sector. But it felt like you and him were pulling a strategy either to catch Lemonek or leverage points between you two. What was that like mentally through the last part of the race?
Yeah, well, it was a really fun race, firstly. Yeah, I mean, the toe is so powerful that you kind of, if you battle, you're just going to lose so much time. And I saw the gap was coming down to Lemonek. So I thought it's best to work together and try and close the gap. But it was really fun. The last lap, it was very close, and I tried everything I could, but I just missed out. But yeah, no, it's a really fun race.
You came into this race tied in point standings with Ben Fuller at the latter half of the top 10, but certainly this is going to be a big surge going into Red Bull Ring. Did you ever think about that or communicate with your teammates about that over the course of the race, as you had guys like Fuller, you guys like Florian Lebigre and a couple of others somewhat struggle and end up in situations of their own?
Yeah, I mean, it's always in the back of your mind, the championship, but I think you're sort of focusing on what's ahead of you and trying to get the best result possible and maximising what you can from what you're doing at the moment. So it was in the back of my mind. I saw that Ben went off and a couple of other incidents, but it was more just focus on what I was doing. But yeah, no, it's good progress for the championship for sure.
I like the words focused ahead, and as we focus ahead to Red Bull Ring, your thoughts on the track at Austria as we sort of get to crunch time in the season?
Yeah, I think it should be a strong track for us. It's slightly different to Fuji, but I really enjoy the middle sector. The high speed stuff's really nice to drive. And in the qualifiers, I think we finished 4th, so we'll hope to better that in the actual series. That would be nice.
All right, Matt. Well, a great finish, a fantastic race put here from Fuji. We're excited to see what you can do at Red Bull Ring next week. Congratulations on the podium finish, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers. Thanks, guys.
Jake Sperry, that is Matt Emery coming home in 3rd, David Toth in 2nd, and Przemysław Lemonek getting his 2nd win of the season here at Fuji.
16 points. Now the lead at the top for Przemysław Lemonek. And that is a big, big margin that he's got. But keep an eye at your bubble, your top 12. Florian Lebiga has got 2 race wins this season, and he's on the bubble by a point ahead of Michael Jani in 13th. It is very much a case of big names are in big trouble in this series, and some big results are going to have to be found, and some soul searching will be needed when we head 1 week away from today, Peter, over to the Red Bull Ring. Very similar in terms of top speed, but it's a very stop-start, heavy braking circuit. I tell you what, we are going to be in for a treat when we head over to the Styrian Mountains.
We are, and the pressure is just going to keep ratcheting up the closer we get to the end of that season, because as we've seen, that big names can have disappointment so quickly in this series. The car is so difficult to drive. We're going to some really perilous circuits, so this championship is far, far from sewn up.
It absolutely is still open as it gets. You can catch it November 2nd at 7 p.m. GMT. Make sure that you jump in and tune in with us for that, because the Red Bull Ring is going to be one of those tracks where you are going to have to be switched on. Everything is going to be all about how you put yourself in the right place at the right time. It was a case of freshly squeezed when it came to the likes, of course, of Przemysław Lemonek. Just one thumbs up, all he needs, all he ever cared about. But he continues to extend his margin, and he is one step closer to the title. But you have to wait, because the Red Bull Ring does not take prisoners, and that is where we're heading to next.